Hello, welcome to the Purple Rock Survivor podcast. I am your host this week, Matt, and with me for the very first time this season is the one, the only Emma. And, we haven't seen her yet this year. I'm sure you're all very excited. And at this point, I'm just filibustering the moment when she can actually get a chance to talk because I just want to torment her. So I'm just going to keep talking for a bit and wait to see how
Hi.
long it takes. There you
The power
go.
of the video podcast means it'll
Yeah, she
focus when I talk.
interrupted me. You see, that's the kind of banner you can expect from a Blackjack and Hookers podcast. Emma, it's your first time here. What do you think of the season so far?
Yeah, it's great to be back. Always good to have the attention. The season so far is fine. I know that's not like the rip roaring hot take we're all hoping to hear, but like it's still the pre-merge. It's not crazy. It hasn't been terrible, but we also and obviously we're going to get more into the edge of extinction thing later. But as of now, we haven't seen what we anticipate being the worst aspect of it. So it's hard to fully fully judge how that might be. But so far, it's fine. Especially I think when one tribe loses all the time, it's always going to be a little lopsided. So what can you do?
Wait. You're saying that one tribe's been losing all the time? What? You know,
They did win this time once.
They did. And with that, Lesu avoided being perhaps the worst tribe ever, but where would you say they rank among the glorious disaster tribes of Survivor Yore? Your Oolongs, your Matt Sings, I'm trying to think of someone that reaches that level. I'm struggling.
Mara Amu was pretty bad.
Wow, you actually
Yeah.
remembered a tribe name that I have no idea what season that's from.
Marquesas, bitch.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Boston Rob's first tribe. They were very bad. They didn't win.
Okay.
They didn't win.
That is fair.
And then there was like a really weird tribe swap where they were just like, let's just keep the numbers uneven. That makes sense.
Yeah, that totally made sense.
So you can't really blame the second version of them. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Survivor Marquesas.
Yeah, we've wandered afield. The question I posed was, where does Lesu rank among the disaster tribes?
Well, last night when watching, at first, for a while, I thought they could be even worse. And I tweeted mid-challenge to my chagrin that, at least Matt Singh, came close a couple times. There was that devastating shot where, the whatever it is they threw, almost hits the vase, but it comes back and it misses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they were, they came close. Oolong, similar,
Oolong was close for actually most of the first 5 challenges. They were in every single one of those, and they lost.
And they won rewards. They won some rewards.
Not many, but they did win a
some.
few. They won a few.
Which is more than none. But then Lesu came back.
I mean, the old Lesu won the chicken reward, lest we forget. The fully formed Lesu in its prime glory won the chicken reward.
Manu.
Right, when it was still Manu, won the chicken reward, and Spurs fans everywhere rejoiced. But now they're Lesu, but again, they won the challenge.
They what a comeback. I gotta admit that. Yeah. That was crazy. They were very, very far behind.
I actually wonder how many minutes behind they were, because we saw them really struggling in the water, and the way Survivor edits, it's sometimes hard to tell how long something takes. You can tell distance-wise that they're behind. You can tell challenge-wise that they're really messing up. But was that 15 minutes? Was that 5 minutes? How far behind were they? I wonder.
That's a good point. And yeah, it was to the point one of our commenters, I think, actually said something like this, but I was even thinking, what if that pull thing was legitimately just stuck, because it just seems like they weren't gonna be able to get it.
I wondered that too, yeah.
No matter who they, because if it was just they couldn't like physically get down there and stay long enough, that's one thing. But like they were pulling at it and like it wasn't coming. But then Lauren, despite the fact that she's apparently dying, is like the only one who can do anything at these
Yeah.
challenges, and she manages to get it going.
Yeah, Kelly complained about David's lack of challenge prowess this week, but she's not doing much better, is she?
Yeah, that was a bad look on a lot of levels. Like, first of all, Kelly is normally, I feel like, pretty strong and, pretty strong challenge competitor. So you wouldn't think she'd be pulling the whole, like, he's like a girl thing.
Is she, though? Like, has she ever won?
Yes, she has won an immunity.
Okay, one.
She's won two. She's
Two.
won one, and then like a girl, where they split it by gender. There was like a very thing about Jeff Probst announced this at the very beginning of the season when he's like, "Here's everyone's resume. This is why you should target them."
Yeah, fair enough. But two individual wins on your third on your third tribe, and she was on some. I mean, like, okay, well, she was on the Bayon tribe in Cambodia, which
in the swap, she wasn't on it on Takeo, or I mean, she was on Takeo at the beginning.
Oh, okay. So she
and
did.
The second
so she then lost a couple before then she got swapped onto Joe, and then Joe was carrying her like he does every tribe.
I think they won, but then it was Angkor, so they're not going to lose to Angkor. But yeah, I think the real key, it's not that they have more. Like, it's not that they don't have enough men, it's that they don't have Joe. Because they started off the season with more men than Kama.
Right, and that's the way
Joe.
Well, and that's the way the show tried to balance it. They tried to balance it by giving them more rather than like actual quality. But the problem was like the more they got was like even their big guys, like Droopy Dog over there, he's not very good either.
Like Chris was legitimately good, but he just couldn't pull all that weight. And
I mean, phrasing and all that, but I think the video speaks to the contrary. But no, you're right.
He could not literally carry the tribe on his back. But yeah, like War Games is supposed to be this big guy, and he can't do shit. Like he has done nothing.
Yeah.
He is like, I think David might even be better.
No. Here's the thing. I think he still might be the second best person on the tribe in terms of challenges. That's how bad they are. Like, I think Lauren at this point is by far the best.
Lauren's killing it.
I think if you put Wendy back on this tribe, she would be their biggest challenge threat. Because like Wendy's actually pretty good at challenges, as we've seen. I like this tribe is just so bad, and even the people who you think like, well, maybe they're good at puzzles, they are not good at puzzles. They are really bad at puzzles, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, David was like only good at some because he had printed them out, so then that one came up, and like people talk about his immunity win in Millennials versus Gen X, but it's because Jay forgot to like cover up, so he got to just copy Jay. That helped.
Which is what he did when they won this time. They copied Joe. They were in the middle position, and the other tribe was in the far position. And so Joe was nearer to them, so it was easier for them to copy Joe's tribe.
Although the other tribe was also getting like verbal hints.
Well, they were trying to, but they had to yell over David's tribe. And David was like, oh, they said this one on the bottom. So even this challenge they won by basically copying someone else.
Although the like new Manu had gotten quite a head start as far as we can tell.
They did, and they just
that's still fully on them for not being able to do that.
But then the other reason I think this tribe is pretty high up on the disaster list, and it's certainly not the top. It's really, really hard to top Oolong because
you can't like Oolong and Metsing. It's just they whittled down to nothing. How can you compare?
Well, and it's not just they whittled down to nothing, but they were so dysfunctional too.
That's true.
And that's actually a place where I think this tribe is competing, because this tribe is going every which way. It's like one day, it's like, okay, so Reem, I get Reem. In retrospect, maybe not the best choice considering what happened with Wendy later, and then considering that you flip back on Keith because he's waffling on you the next day, but I understand Reem. It's
Yeah, but
totally
also
good.
what we've seen of Reem.
Well, that's why I'm saying I
Yeah,
understand it. Like,
yeah.
you had three people that tribe needed to lose very quick, as we learned early. But then on the third one, they decide not just let's not vote Wendy out, let's vote the one person who's actually good.
Yeah, that was bad. And I didn't like it at the time. I will say, not to like be fully defending Kelly, because as I said, the comment was bad, but I don't blame her for
Oh
voting out
no.
Chris the way I blame the others, because she was like, hey, Chris wants to vote you out with that information, which is with the information she had available. Like, yeah,
Yeah, no,
th-
no, no, no. Yeah,
that makes sense.
she
But
has.
like Pitbull over here needed to do better than that. It's
Yeah,
just
I
ridiculous.
mean, Lassie can't just be concerned with what's going on with him. He has to think about not going to tribal council. And you cannot look at Chris and think, yeah, he's the guy that's sending us there week after week. Yeah, that's
I know
definitely the
that's
reason.
not what I think about when I look at Chris.
Okay. No,
Anyway,
no, no, no. Okay. No,
we
you
don't
know
need
what?
to
Let's keep these
relitigate
going. Let's keep these
past
going.
episodes. We don't need
Yeah,
to.
but right, but my point is like there's a dysfunction to this tribe as well.
For sure.
That kind of elevates it to near the top level. Um, but they didn't go to tribal in the first hour. It was New Manu that went to tribal in the first hour. So, what did you think of what happened to Aubrey, the first attorney voted out?
Oh, Aubrey. Girl got played
Yeah, she did.
hard,
Yeah.
like
Uh-huh.
brutally.
Yeah.
Just the fact that she was so surprised. I'm like, when she knew that at comma, she was definitely being looked at as a target. Like, I mean,
And
I get Wendy seems like the obvious vote, but woof, like that was just
you
she
know,
didn't even sniff it out at all.
I mean, and that's the thing that I really kind of criticize her for. She had the idol, right? So I understand if you're not getting a signal one way or the other, wanting to hold the idol for maybe the next vote or maybe for the merge. When it can be really useful. But at this point, you know that your name has come up on the other tribe. You know that these are all the same people. Sure, you probably think that Wendy's there. But why are you even taking the chance at this point? These people haven't voted before. She even said before you vote, you don't know what anyone's thinking, and all that. And it's like, yeah, you don't, Aubrey. You should be considering that.
And Wendy is someone, yes, she was on the opposite tribe and she's the only one on the other tribe on their new tribe. But she's also someone who have told them like explicitly that she has no friends on her old tribe, that she was totally like the outsider and stuff. And it's very clear that she's not a strategic threat. So
Oh. Can we
it,
just can
oh
we
my
talk
gosh,
about
that was so bad.
the moment when Wendy is yet again presented with a chance to make a strategic move in the game, and Wendy's all over it. Because I mean, okay. In the
She's
first step,
aggressively bad at the game.
she's aggressively bad at the game, and I understand why
So
people.
in so many ways, like yeah, sure, she's pretty good in challenges. Good on her.
Yeah.
But since when do we give a shit about that?
Well, apparently when it's someone that we want to champion. But no, I mean it's like no, okay, so I understand why you think that she could be entertaining because
Yeah.
she is we don't really see a lot of Wendy's. People who are this oblivious. Even Keith understood when a lifeline was being offered to him.
Mm-hmm.
Keith would not be coming up with plans, but if you say, "Hey Keith, what do you think about this?" He'd just kind of shrug and all shucks his way and
Yeah,
he would
great. Let's vote out Eric. That sounds wonderful.
right. Or he would say, well, I don't think I can vote that person out. In which case you're like, well, Keith's not on my side. But Wendy couldn't say anything. She couldn't say anything. They're like, what do you think of that? And she's like, well, what are you asking me? And they're like, we're asking if you want to vote out one of the guys. And she's like, if you want to do that, that would be interesting. And they're like, we're saying we want to do that. Where is your head at here? Which is probably what should have tipped Aubrey off there, that may have been in trouble.
True. Like, I mean, I can also see it tipping her off that instead, I'm sure she and Victoria had a conversation of like, oh, I guess, we can't go for Eric because we can't trust Wendy. But I mean, if this had been an actual plan, she would have gotten herself voted out instead. If it wasn't like a decoy plan for the other former comma people to blindside Aubrey, she would have absolutely gotten voted out for that. It's the Penner not being able to answer Lisa and Redacted on if he wants to go to the Final Four with them. Like, it's
actually what it reminds me more of is Amazon when Rob kills the swing vote because who was it? It's
Christy.
Okay. Christy makes the big move, swings the game. She's now the swing vote, and Rob goes to her and is like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And she can't make up her mind, and she's lording over the fact that she's the swing vote, and Rob's like, screw this. It's like why am I spending all my time courting one person when we can all just vote her out?
I see that, except I don't think Wendy was like, I have the power. I think she's like, there's a game.
Right. But Christy Christy vacillated a lot, which is what Wendy was doing here. She couldn't decide in the moment. She couldn't even it's not something like you come to her with plans and she's like surprises even plans. Christy had that kind of thing as well. And she's like, well, let me think about it because I have all the power. And Rob's like, no, just say yes right now. And I think that's where it comes in common. But there is someone else that I think is a part of the Aubrey downfall that I want to talk about, because as one falls, another rises. And I mean, that's just math there, it's just math.
You told me there'd be no math.
That's not true. I told I definitely said you had to learn the quadratic equation before coming on this podcast. But I'm talking about
my way through high school. I wrote it on my desk.
No, you see, the key's the hand. You got to write it on the hand. But no, I'm talking about Victoria. I'm talking about Victoria, who every week is convincing me that I think we got one person who's really playing the game. We might have more, by the way. It's just we haven't seen a bunch of regular comedy. Yeah. But Victoria is really playing the game, and I like what she's doing. I like everything that went into this vote, and I especially like everything that went into the next vote.
I'm excited about her because, first of all, I know this is not true for a community at large, but of our immediate Purple Rock staff circle, it's not super popular to have a pre-game fave. But I read the bios and I was like, oh, she had some one-liners, had a little bit of sass, and I'm like, I can get. She was a waitress from New York. I'm like, could we have a new Courtney Yates on our hands? But it's better than this because she actually has strategy.
Yeah. To admit something too, I actually picked her in one of the fantasy leagues because I liked her and because I was like, hey, waitress in New York, you have to deal with tons of assholes in that. That's a good survivor skill. And
she seems cool. She's got a good head on her shoulder. She apparently is very good at faking that she's with you because I mean, I know Aubrey has been desperate for someone to want to play with her, but also because of that desperation is why she should have been suspicious because no one's come up to her. Also, I'm going to say it, I don't mind her hat at all.
Is that a thing? People mind her hat?
It's a thing. People are very angry about the fact that she would dare wear a beanie on a beach. And look, I am from a foggy coastal town. People wear beanies whenever they want.
Didn't Andrew Savage wear a beanie?
So of course you like it.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's Andrew Savage and Victoria, my two favorite players.
Plus, I had a roommate who would wear a beanie with everything. I'm talking shorts and tank top and beanie. We joked about it on her wedding. I can't believe you didn't have a beanie with a veil type thing. So it doesn't bother me. I think it works. Probably keeps her head warm at night.
That's the most important thing. Also, she's not here to make friends, and she told us that in confessional. And it's been a really long time since we had one of those confessionals. I didn't know how much I missed one of those confessionals because it's that's the classic Survivor confessional. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to win the game. It's before that, the more recent versions have been man, I think I came here to play a game, but I found
But
myself
now
liking
I'm
these
making
people. And it's like, no, no, that's not what I want to hear. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to win the game. Like, come
It
on.
reminds me of the old AV Club days when John's whole shtick was that he'd get on the show and be like, "I am
I'm
here to
here to
make
make
friends."
friends. It's like, hey, how you doing? You want to be my friend? Which is of course funny now because we know John better, and he would be the worst at
Yeah, he
that.
can't do that at all.
No, he'd be terrible at it.
I was recently legitimately shocked that he remembered a personal detail about me. It was
Yeah, well, I
astounding.
mean, to be fair, I was shocked at that too. That was a deep pull there.
Yeah, that was some like security question shit.
Yeah. Oh, that's why he remembered it. John remembers all security question related things
Yep,
because he's the financial nerd. So
that makes sense.
he needs to know how to get into our bank accounts. So figured that mystery
He's
out.
really spending way more effort than it's worth on mine.
Well, yeah, but I mean, maybe he's going for
It's the
that.
long game.
Yeah, the long game, right? So okay.
Anyway,
Anyway, going on. So okay. So Aubrey goes down. She's voted out, and she finds her
with an
way.
idol and an advantage in her pocket.
This is true. And now the idol's useless because
Yikes.
that is on the note. The idol has no power anymore.
Yep.
It is not an idol, even if she comes back. But she finds her way to the edge of extinction. Dum dum dum. And I wanted to ask you, since you haven't been on yet this season, what do you think of the edge of extinction?
Well, it does give us more time to spend with Chris, and I do appreciate that.
I thought you would. No, but I mean, so let me give my opinion because I haven't been on in a couple weeks.
And it's the one that matters more, right?
I mean, you said it, not me.
Sarcastically.
Well, but you didn't jump on the, like I threw a
Magic
softball over the
extinction.
plate. I threw a softball over the plate, and you decided to make a joke, and so I'm stepping up, and I'm going to hit the home run here. Okay. So no,
You'll miss my jokes when they're gone.
I actually think that they are doing very well with this segment. I was really worried about it before the season, but I decided to take it as it came. And so far, I've liked what they've been giving us with it. I find it's actually been pretty entertaining, maybe because the people there have like a fun, kind of really hostile, antagonistic energy that I'm kind of digging. Like Reem hating everyone and Rick making jokes about it while and then the best moment to me tonight was the fact that Reem obviously does not understand what a joke is because Chris makes a joke and she's like, "How could you ever dare say that about me? How could anyone dare say that about me?"
The craziest thing about that to me was like not just that she got mad, but that she like called Chris saying like how you practically like, oh man, it's like you gave it to him. Like that she took that as like an accusation. I thought was
Right.
just
No,
such a weird way to take that. Like it's one thing if you're like, hey, that's mean, like you're saying I messed up and that's not but like to be like, how dare you accuse me? Like she
well,
thought the issue was that she's colluding with Keith. I don't think he cares about that.
no, no, I mean, right. No, I mean, and that's my point. Like, she just doesn't understand the fact that it was a joke. And it's like a really obvious joke, too. Like, I don't know how you don't understand it's a joke. Which I think also speaks to probably why Reem was voted out. If
Yep.
anyone was wondering. But no, I think there's actually something I think the way they're presenting Edge of Extinction and the fact they're not spending too long on it, I think it's working, especially because like, a lot of people are complaining we don't have enough of the other people in the game, but we know everything about the tribe that's been going to tribal council. We don't know about the people who have never been. And you know what? We're just not going to get a lot from them, at this point. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I've actually been kind of enjoying my time there. So
I do think it's a little bit there. Sometimes the stuff with the clues and the things they're doing can be like a little confusing. It's a little hectic and hard to follow. Like, Chris gets the thing that says practice, but at the same time, Rick finds the advantage, and it's like, and how did that all happen? And sort of the fact that they all get the same thing is like a little weird. I've seen people suggest it could be more fun if there's like one thing. It's like I don't know. It's like in some cases they're competing, but then they're also working together, but they all have the same information, and it's hard to sneak away. Like it's like people can try to be sneaky, but it's super obvious when they are, as we saw with Keith. So I think they could tinker if they ever try this again, I think they could maybe tinker with that aspect a little bit. But you know, it's definitely, I do think they are you know, making lemonade out of lemons or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and maybe that's what I'm picking up on. That if they were going to do this, they seem to have at least learned how to present this in the most entertaining way possible, which is a far cry from what they did with actual Redemption Islands.
Yeah, it's definitely better than Redemption Island for sure. And it is nice to be able to like confirm what the conditions are in a way that wasn't the case with the Outcast twist.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and it, you know, it looks like this is going to be the end of it. They're going to be coming back next week. I guess later we'll be talking about our prediction for that. But I want to talk about something else real quick, unless you have more to say about Edge of Extinction. Sorry.
No.
Okay, good. Because I want to talk about someone who, most of the tribe does not know Edge of Extinction exists, and most of the viewers did not know that Julia existed. But she spoke this week.
What a segue. What
I thought that was
professional
amazing.
we've got here, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, that's why they pay me
Give
the
it up.
big bucks. That's why they pay me the big bucks. So no, we heard from Julia.
She got a confessional. Did she get one in the second half? I feel like
No, she definitely
got
did not.
time. She got screen time for sure, though.
Did she?
That's when the joke conversation was. The camera was literally on her face. The camera wasn't on her face, but the angle was definitely on her face. I don't want John grief for that. But that was.
Who was the one that said, "Do it for Sierra" to Joe?
I couldn't hear. I think that was too like far back. Like I think there were two in the background. I couldn't tell. I would guess Julie. It just feels like from what little glimpse we have gotten from their personalities.
Yeah, that would be
feels
more,
like something she would say. I think the alternate is Aurora because she seems closest with Joe. So the most likely one to have had conversations about his love life.
Yeah. So which. By the way, that comment was A+.
That was so funny. I laughed out loud.
Yeah, no, I did too, especially because I had forgotten they were dating, and I was like, "Do it for Sierra." Oh, right. And then I started laughing. But anyway, going back to Julia, who we can't even talk about for 5 seconds because there's still nothing there, right? There is nothing there.
And what we did see, honestly, did not come off great. Like the confessional was just super generic and plain, which I feel like is something like, see?
I mean, yeah. And not only was it generic and plain, but it's like the generic and plain anyone else could give.
Yeah. And like what we've heard a gazillion times, Joe is a threat, but he's useful, you know. But then we got footage of her involved when Joe talks to her in the second half of the episode, where he just like compliments her a lot. And then she's talking about how, you know, she might have to kind of rethink things and her game.
Oh yeah, she did.
Yeah, which I think was a confessional. So I think she did have
you might be right. I had forgotten that.
What was that? What was that you said?
I said you might be right. I had forgotten that, which again speaks to the fact that she does not stand out at all.
I just wanted you to confirm that I was right. But yeah,
I am not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. I am not Andy.
But yeah, like, come on, girl, you gotta think about why he's telling you. Like, everyone knows that he is the big threat. You've got to know you're close to the merge, which means you know that like another returning player is still there to be a threat in Kelly. And yeah, like maybe she'd kind of but like she just kind of seemed to buy it as far as we could tell. And
I mean, so here's the thing. I don't think we can really know anything about her as a player yet. You know, they haven't gone to tribal. They haven't had to scramble. We don't know what she's thinking strategically. All we can judge her on at this point, from the little bit we've been given, is whether or not we find her entertaining, in my opinion. And from what I've seen, I don't. Doesn't mean that she can't be. She seems like one of those people who's a perfectly nice person, but perfectly nice people have been on Survivor before, and they've not been very interesting. Now, again, she's not been on TV very much. she definitely has a chance to show me something else. But one of the things she complained about that started this whole uproar was the fact she came on there to be a role model. And role models make bad TV. I don't watch to see a role model. So if that's what you're there for and that's what you're trying to do and you're trying to play like the nice, honorable game and all that, maybe that's why you're not on TV.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're looking to be a role model, maybe try The Amazing Race, you know?
Sure. Yeah. No,
Like
I
this
mean, that's it's a better show for that.
the amount of time people like first of all, there's way, you either do play an honorable and like game full of integrity and it's boring and bad, or you end up playing the game, but then because of what you were like trying to achieve, it then looks bad at home. Now, I think in her instance, like she's just, a normal med student. I don't think it would like be this disaster if she was like scheming. But you think about like say Tasha talked about how her second season, even though she didn't end up playing this way, but like that her church told her like, no, it's fine, do what you got to do,
Yeah, if
like
anything, she
because
played even less like that than she did the first season. Like,
yeah, but at least she wasn't like carrying that with her. I think
yeah,
I think it tends to be a bigger issue if you're representing something more specific, like Tony getting grief because he's a cop, and cops shouldn't be like that because they're always so noble, never
yeah.
do anything shady, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna pass right over that
Yeah,
obvious one. But no, I mean, yeah. So I mean, look, again, we haven't seen enough for her to really judge. But what I
yeah.
have seen, I'm not. I'd rather see more of some other people. And I also understand why they're giving confessionals to Ron because, I wouldn't say he's great, but he does have some personality. Like
Mhm.
he has some quirkiness to him that is kind of interesting. And so if he like making him the narrator on that tribe makes a ton of sense, especially because everything I've seen from everyone else there is not very interesting. Um, so far at least.
Yeah, I think Julie comes the closest maybe to also having somewhat interesting thing, but like just, it's a
Yeah.
game of inches.
Right. I mean,
And
most
it's because they haven't gone to tribal. They
right,
could
right.
end
They
up
haven't
really
gone to
talking.
tribal, so they have to check in on Joe when they're there. And Joe is not interesting, and he's going to give the same confessional every time, which is, "Oh, I'm good at challenges. Maybe people will like me this time. Why don't people
But
like
this
me this
time
time?"
he did it while crying, so
That's
that
true.
was
That's
different.
true. Yeah, yeah. They want us to feel bad for him because he's probably going home soon. Um, but yeah, I'm just saying. But yeah, I mean, and so yeah, so that's Kama. Do you have anything else to say about Kama? Any other thoughts on that tribe?
No,
Good,
I don't
because
think there could be.
yeah, I think we kind of exhausted what was to talk about them. So let's talk about the other big happenings in the second hour because we had a challenge they were going to do, and then they announced only one tribe is going to be immune, and both of the losing tribes will be going to tribal together. The infamous Malcolm tribe setup. So first, let me ask, what do you think of this setup? And was this any better than the last time?
I still don't like it. I think it's other people and sort of like survivor writers have pointed this out that it's just, you're getting voted by people who you haven't played with. And we've been lucky that both times this has happened, it's been tribes that were evenly matched with the
Yeah.
same number of people. But you could very easily, like, let's say Lesu had lost in the first hour and they go against, and then like,
Or or
da-
or or let's just say that for an instance, Joe has a strategic bone, or not Joe, but someone on his tribe has a strategic bone in his body, and they say, "Hey, if we're going to the same tribe as them, we're 5 and they're 4. Let's just throw
right.
this one."
Yeah, and then there's nothing the other people can do because you don't even get that chance to scramble.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
if If it
Yeah,
was like, oh, and now you're all gonna get on a beach together, then maybe you could deal with some like, and that could
I think
actually
if
be interesting because you're
I think
building
if
relationships before the merge
yeah.
and stuff like that. And yeah, like you could have stuff with like maybe like let's say Lauren and Victoria talking about things. You could see people could really try to get an idea of who actually would be willing to go to rocks or not, and
Yeah.
there could be that could legitimately have some interesting gameplay. But I think with this, it just gets all the standing up and whispering, which they think is super exciting, but it really isn't.
There's no way to do this format without having the standing up and whispering because you have to talk to the people on the other side. And the only
Unless the tribes are uneven, and then you just decimate them.
or one of the tribes guesses with an idol and
Right.
guesses correctly. I mean, those are the only ways.
That happened with Malcolm, and it still had all the whispering, but
That's
they only guessed because JT.
right. Yes. But my point, but no, you're right. If they put them on the same beach, it would change the dynamic entirely because then it's almost like a merge vote, like one that you have a chance to talk with people that you don't know very well and to try to convince them. If they're on the same beach, you don't think they're trying to convince Wendy to vote with, the Lessu's trying to convince Wendy to vote with them based on prior experience, or they're trying to feel out everyone else to see how they feel about voting for Wendy.
And that
Like,
could have been interesting because we could have seen, their sort of treatment or like how, they might have isolated Wendy really kind of bite them in the ass because, oh,
exactly.
now they're counting on her. And even if that's obviously just this specific situation, but, there's potential in any iteration for something like that to be more interesting.
Right. And so I think I just feel the way they are doing it is particularly uninteresting. I think, as we discussed, there's a way to do it that might be interesting. I still think that it would not be super fair, but at least this way you would have a chance to strategize with these other
Yeah.
people. And that gives you an aspect of Survivor that is there. You are spending time with people. You should be able, and the people you're spending time with are the ones who should be voting, not people you never see. And I mean, yeah. But so let's talk about what actually happened because
Yeah, I will say, if I could say real quick, I do
yeah.
think the way it happened makes it a little better than the Malcolm one in terms
Okay.
of like fairness, not
Yes.
entertainment, just because Wendy would have gone home if Manu went to tribal.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
there is not a world where she talks, where she gets out of that one because those three were clearly tight because they worked together on the Aubrey thing. So at least I don't feel like anyone was like totally screwed. And that's nice. And
Yeah,
that's
no,
it.
no. I agree with that. Because she was definitely the next one on that tribe to go. I don't know who would have been the next one on the other tribe to go. I think that would have been really interesting. It might have been Deputy Dog there. I think he might have been wearing out his welcome as the swing vote, but instead, Kelly goes in there with the big plan. This is what we're going to do. And Snoop Dogg interrupts, and he was 100% right with his plan.
Completely right. I didn't tweet it, but I have the timestamped receipts in my text. But that was the exact idea I had. And other people had said it as well, because it's the only play.
It's the best play. It's not the only play because you could
it's the
also
only good play.
Well, no, you could play to swing Wendy. But why would you think that Wendy would ever vote with you based on how you treated her?
Yeah, I think in other instances, like say in Game Changers when Haley is the one there, it's not necessarily the right play. But I think the specific things here where you have no reason to trust Wendy. Right. At this point, David should even not be thinking of her as a goat because a goat you can't control is not a goat worth having.
Correct.
And then, there was no way that that you wouldn't get at least one person to flip. They were not going to go to rocks for Wendy.
Right? Because
they're like, we get rid of someone we weren't working with anyway.
We get rid of the person we would have voted out anyway. Yeah. It's like, I mean, and then if you're still going by old tribal lines, you still get rid of someone from the old Manu, right. So I mean, it's just it's what I mean, like it was the only possible play, and I love that Kelly is really mad that that Rin Tin Tin had to have his way, and And then like as she's talking in this confessional, she's like, I mean, he's right, but I'm just mad at the fact that he had to have his way, though he's definitely right about this. And it's like, yeah, that's why he had to have his way, because you were wrong and he was 100% right. Now, could he have been better about it? Of course. But
And I do think that's the issue. It's because she had already talked about how he approaches things and stuff. So
yes.
it's irritating. And I will give her credit for not arguing about being like, being irritated privately, but being like, well, but that is the right way. And so that's what they did,
Yeah.
which is good.
Absolutely.
Lesser players necessarily would not have done that.
It would have been harder for them to swallow their pride so immediately.
Yeah.
And I think that was I think that was to her credit that she did. I also think it was to the credit of, again, my favorite, Victoria, who basically was like, yeah, we're going to go to Rocks. I'm not going to Rocks. I am going to sell any one of them out, because guess what? If they go home, I still got a ton of people out there who I can work with. And she's right.
Do not go to Rocks pre-merge.
Right. Oh, and here's the thing. Even if, say, I don't know, Gavin or
Eric.
Yeah, okay. I thought that was Eric. I wasn't sure for some reason. I like hesitate over it. But even if Gavin or Eric go home, you still got 6 other people on your old tribe that you can ally with. You still got the numbers. I don't think that, I mean, like, yeah, you went to Rocks. I don't think too many people are going to hold that against you. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think you're right in that. I think that was definitely the right move. It was maybe a little riskier for both like Lauren and Showdog to talk about how they wouldn't go to Rocks, but like I also get it, because again, it's pre-merge, I want to say,
but then again, David did go to Rocks pre-merge. So when he said, "I've gone to,"
I was after the merge.
You're right. He played the idol for someone else pre-merge. I got too confused. You're right. Okay, my fault. Go back.
Yeah, and it was when there were a lot of people too, so it kind of like makes it a little less risky.
Yeah.
I mean, I still probably wouldn't have done it, but
yeah, I mean, that was
one thing I thought though, and it worked out because they did the right thing in voting for Wendy. But when you had Lauren talking about how she wouldn't go for Rocks and Victoria talking about how she wouldn't go to Rocks, like before I looked at the time, I was like, what if are they both going to flip and then it'll tie again? And they got rid of the thing where they deliberate,
I've said this in past seasons, but that is my one dream that I always want to happen. that is something I've put it out into the world on Podcast Pass. I so want that to happen. That would just be the best. And I'm sure someone's gonna like comment in our comments that like Survivor New Zealand or whatever did that, and I don't care. I want to see it on the.
We don't care.
We don't watch it.
I heard someone did. They went to Rocks in pre-merge in South Africa or whatever. Cool. I'm glad that was exciting. It was also probably a dumb move. Don't correct me if it wasn't. I don't care.
So Wendy goes home, and
I also actually would like to add, I think it was, I mean, for Manu, they kind of had less strategic options, and that they just kind of had to be like, I guess we'll pick someone who might not have an idol, which like is always sort of the younger woman, but also Lauren has been their best challenge competitor. So it was good for that reason too. They did what they could. That's not that exciting. What I think is great is that, and yeah, that's because of all the whispering, but I think it's great that they all flipped, because now they have some options because at the merge, on the off chance that anyone is upset with them for voting out Aubrey first, I don't think it'll be an issue besides with Joe, but in case it was, now they can be like, oh, we voted with you. Like, yeah, we voted for one of you, but it's the situations where you had to do maybe. Or if, that 5, like once, they're 3 now with the 4 on Lesu, like they could try to work with something, because now they've whispered, as much as David told Eric, we just met you.
Yeah.
Like there's something to work with. Whereas if only one of them does, it's like awkward amongst themselves. It's awkward amongst the other group. I think it's not like an amazing move or anything, but I think it's a little thing that gives them a little more flexibility.
Yes, I agree with that. I wonder if the reason why David talked to Wendy was not to distract her while everyone else talked to everyone else.
That's possible. I do wonder what he would. I mean, I guess he was
Like
sort
what,
of maybe,
you
and
know,
was like,
like
I guess we might as well try to get her to flip, you know?
I mean, that's probably what it was, but I also wonder if it was a bit of I'll talk to her, you guys go scatter, and yeah,
It
um,
was, I did feel kind of like I've not been the biggest fan of hers because I find, well, because of the vegetarian hypocrisy, which is the thing that matters to me, but also
yeah.
just the relentless positivity is exhausting. I'm just not a person who can handle that. And that's a me thing. But I did feel kind of bad when she's just like sitting by herself and everyone is whispering around her. And I'm like, this is not a good sign for you, girl.
You know, it's yeah. So let's actually talk about Wendy because she went well, not home. She went to the edge of extinction. I was actually a little surprised that she immediately went there. I
Yeah,
kind of
she was laughing. She seemed so happy to be voted
she
out.
was like, "Oh, I'm not done," and I'm like, "Really? You're okay?"
I
uh,
thought you were gonna go get your cheeseburger made out of cow.
yeah. By the way, Wendy won't kill a chicken. The first thing she wants when she gets voted out is a cheeseburger. Just what the hell? Like the chicken thing still bothers me because of the rank hypocrisy. Because
Me too.
it makes no sense. It makes
And
no sense.
and like if it was just that she didn't personally want to kill it, that's fine. I get that.
Go
Whatever.
take a
But it's
walk.
yeah, like Queen Jen. But the and also like people are like, oh well, now she's been a vegetarian for 3 months, and I'm like, yeah, but they got back way longer ago than that, which means as soon as and like sure, good for her for finally if she finally makes it and actually sticks with it because I've known people who have been vegetarian or vegan for 3 months. But
I went vegetarian for a month once. I mean, I'm sure that you
was
are.
it
No, it was awful. I mean, like I hated myself. I don't know why I
I
did
was
it.
almost, well, I no, I was about to be like, was it Lent? And then I realized that was a really dumb question.
Yes, it was Lent, Emma. That's exactly why I did it. I gave up meat for Lent. Me, Mr. Jewish.
Hey, that's why I stopped myself, okay?
Did you though?
Yes,
I
mid
mean, you still, you
sentence.
still, you still asked the question.
Because I was explaining why I
Mm.
stopped mid sentence.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
have
but
known non-Catholics who gave up things for Lent just for the like challenge of it and like, oh, it's a time to do that. Like how people
oh,
are
that's
like, I'm gonna
stupid.
I know. How people are like, I'm gonna have a sober January. Like they're just like, I should pick this month randomly to
Oh, I
not do a
actually do
thing.
know someone who gives up alcohol for like a month at a time. He never makes it through the month, but he drinks a lot of alcohol, so he does it for like health reasons. But
And we know I
anyway,
had my free February, which I also failed.
yeah, I actually can't believe you got through that entire thing, considering how often you eat fries. But so back to Wendy, who is there. The positivity annoys me too, and that's really kind of what was getting to me by the end. I kind of was warm. I liked her at the beginning. I kind of soured. I kind of came back around a bit, because I was like, okay, like she's just like throwing bombs everywhere, and I mean, I don't even know if she realizes it. But then, like, but at this point, I'm just like, oh my god, I'm kind of tired of this. This is too much for me. And I understand if it's not for you, but for me, yeah, that's like it's just too much. And I also just don't like obliviousness. And she seems
Yeah.
very oblivious. And that's like just a pet peeve of mine. So
It kind of reminds me of just because of the positivity aspect of when I worked at a bakery like long time ago, right out of college. And there's this kid who he really worked at the other store, but sometimes he'd do shifts, nicest guy you've ever met, like super friendly, so nice. But man, 8 hours, oh, like what was that? It's just exhausting. How are
yeah.
you so nice all the time? I can't be like that. And
Yeah.
that says probably more about me, but it's still who I am, and it's just
Yeah.
oh, it's rough.
Yeah. So Wendy, the not vegetarian, goes home and goes to the edge of extinction. And that kind of leads us into the other topic we have for tonight, which is we're doing our theme this season is Mark for Extinction. We're talking about ideas that have to die, and you proposed this one, and I was very on board with it.
Thank
You
you.
proposed the idea that what needs to die is the idea that double episodes are there to mask boring, predictable boots.
This is sort of in line with the, oh no, it's only a 1 hour premiere. This season must be terrible. Or CBS had other plans.
It's really just that simple, isn't it?
It's just that. And look, if you're talking, oh, there's 2 boots in 1 hour episode, then yeah, that's probably boring. I'll give it to you there, because if they're squeezing in 2 boots in 1 hour, sure. But yeah, if they're combining 2 episodes together, it's because like the World's Best or whatever ended. It's because, some sort of whatever they're scheduling needed a week off or something.
I don't know. I don't know if any one of you still actually watches network TV. I mean, I barely do, but I've noticed that the very few shows I watched have been taking really sporadic breaks in February. So I'm sure that's all this is.
Yep. Yeah, which was really annoying with Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, but we won't get into that. It was just off for a really long time out of nowhere. But you watch it on Netflix.
I do. I wait and watch it later. But I mean, it's just a scheduling thing. Like CBS has to like block out their end of winter and spring, and sometimes it works out that they will run Survivor an extra week, or so they won't need to do a double episode. And then sometimes it's like, oh, hey, we need to fill an hour here. Survivor, you want to do 2 hours this week? And they'll be like, yeah, sure, whatever. I mean, like, it's a show that can bend itself very easily because they cut so much out, and it's easy just to shift stuff up or back a bit.
Especially because Survivor, unlike non-reality network TV, they're not going to take a week off for the holiday or for something like that. They don't do that. It like messes with their flow. They have to do all that once. So sometimes that means doubling up or something like that, so they can end quicker rather than taking, like, say if this happened in the fall, they would double up to end on the 22nd instead of having to like take a week off for the holidays or something.
Right. I mean, I also just think that historically the double boot episodes have not been like boring ones. Like maybe there's like one boring boot in there, but that's kind of bound to happen when you have
It was probably on HHH, a boring season.
Right. I mean, it's just, like, I thought both of these were we finally see someone else go to tribal council, something that we've been dying to see. And then we see, while not our favorite format of tribal council, we see one that's very different.
And was played so effectively.
Right.
Which I think helped a lot.
Yeah. So I really just like, don't like, and we hear this one all the time, and I just don't get it. It's kind of like looking for the conspiracy theory rather than just like taking the looking at Occam's razor here. So
I also, while we're on this topic, one thing I do think is that the Edge of Extinction format really lent itself really nicely to doing a double boot, because we don't have the normal show the votes and like post tribal thing. Instead, you have Aubrey the next day talking about what it was like to be voted out, and then we shift right back into a new challenge. And I thought that worked out really nicely.
I agree, though. I would like if we had to show the votes. I
just say if in the way that they're doing it, it blended well.
Yeah, that is definitely true. So I guess we're kind of at the predictions point. So let's start not with who's going to go home, but who's going to come back. So do you have any predictions on who's coming back?
I think before this episode, Chris was obviously the heavy favorite, just in terms of physicality.
Sure.
I think that's still true, but now he's going to be given a disadvantage. I believe I didn't piece this together, but I know Rob Sestrino said on RHAP that it looks like it's going to be the jailbreak challenge.
That they did in...
Yeah.
Isn't that the one? Wait, doesn't that require a team, though? Can you do that solo?
No, they've done it on Redemption Island. I can't remember who it was, but I know they've done it that way, where you just tie this. It's like tying the sticks and going through. You don't need people.
So that's that's kind of interesting then, because that doesn't, I think, really favor anyone in particular.
Exactly. So I think, and like a little bit of this is edited, maybe edit based. So some of this might be wishful thinking, but I think given all of that, I could see it being Rick Devens coming back.
I think Rick is one of the favorites.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, and I think it's because of screen time. Now, again, Rick is just, I think, the best personality
Right. So
that's
he
over
might
there.
want
So he's
to them anyway.
right. Yeah. So he's going to get screen time anyway. But I got, like this kind of, is the, like one, if it is the jailbreak, that's something that I'm sure he could be good at. He's the kind of guy that it seems that there's more to his story. I think that Reem and Keith are like definite no's. I've seen some people suggest that like Aubrey has a chance. I don't think it's happening.
And if she does get in, I don't think she will be able to last much longer. Whereas I think Rick would actually be kind of fine if he got back in because his trimates weren't like happy to vote him out, you know? And I don't think he'd be that bitter against it. Like
yeah.
maybe there'd be a little bit there'd be a little bit to like War Machine of like, why me and not Laura? But like, you know, I think at the very least he has David.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And
and
possibly even Kelly and Lauren because they could be like,
I mean, yeah,
look, it was you or us type
and I
thing.
think it'd be interesting also if it was Rick because then it would kind of give us a more a solider underdog,
Mm-hmm.
and by underdog I don't mean underdog, I mean the phrase underdog. But no, I mean it would give us more numbers there, so they'd have more maneuverability in terms of a chance to kind of upset that. I mean, anyone who comes back would be on that tribe. It's just that Rick would just work right with them immediately, whereas everyone else, I think, is a lot more, would be a lot more hesitant to do so.
Yeah.
I think Chris could be convinced too, as well.
Yeah, I do too, especially if they, if they kind of, I mean, it would be tough with like David, but I feel like, if Kelly confronts him, he could kind of be like, well, the reason why I was told, like, this is what actually happened, which could
Right.
also be interesting since now Kelly and David seem to be getting along.
Yeah, no, it could be interesting. So, I think my money is on Rick, and then my runner up would be Chris. I think Wendy has a
Yeah,
shot.
no, I mean, I will say she has.
Wouldn't that just like fit the season so well if Wendy comes back and then just lingers again for so long, and it's like
Please, no.
it,
She does
it's
have
like
an advantage in that she hasn't been there very long, so she's
right.
not
Sh-
as depleted, although she's still been like playing Survivor. But she has a disadvantage in that she hasn't seen like anything. Like, they
yeah,
kind of through stuff they might be able to like piece together. It is interesting. I mean, Chris got the thing that says like practice. So who knows
right.
if he's really good at tying knots, maybe that's enough to compensate. But again, if it is really going to be the jailbreak challenge, that is not something that's going to like his physicality isn't going to be the difference maker necessarily.
No, but you know what's going to be the difference maker for Chris? It's the fact that he has experience wielding long poles. Nothing, nothing. Okay, yeah. I broke Emma, guys. That was I was waiting for that one. While she's broken, though, we're gonna move on to talk about who the boot is gonna be because we have our merged group, and we're gonna be back one more. I don't even know if that last person is gonna be available to vote. So who do you think is going home?
I think, I mean, you could definitely see it being Joe if he doesn't win, but I think, and I'm not sure if for predictions I should be using the actual name or not, but I think it's our very own turkey dog.
Oh. Yeah, I'm picking Scooby Doo as well.
Oh,
I
wow, we're really in sync tonight.
yeah, no, I just think that the Scrappy Doo act is gonna, it's he's gonna be the most visible one, and everyone's gonna be looking over there. I don't think they're gonna pick someone off of the Kama tribe for the very first vote. I
Yeah,
mean, like, even if Joe loses, I kind of think they'll wait one. But I think they'll look over there and they'll be like, well, we could vote out Kelly, but I just think that he's gonna be such a like a big enough um just like a big enough presence that they're going to and just he's going to be trying to work people. He's going to be trying to work people. And when Bolt's out there and he's talking to people, they're going to be like, "Man, I just can't take, it's like I don't trust Balto. I don't trust him. He's out there. He's white fanging all over the place." And they're just gonna say like, why don't we just vote him out? Like he's the biggest player over there.
Yeah, I mean, and you've already got Lesu being like, saying how they don't really trust Warhammer and they're pretty antsy about him. And I think that's who Rick is going to be the most mad at if he comes back. I think that's who Chris is going to be the most mad at if he comes back. And if we're saying those are our two most likely people to return, that's not great. We often see in these big 13 people merges sort of a consensus boot. It happens really often. So I could even see them all just kind of coming together and just agreeing to vote him out. So
no, that definitely could happen. Here's a weird question to you, and I don't think anyone's ever considered this yet. Are we sure there's only one person coming back?
We aren't sure, but if did they? I can't remember. Did the preview say merge?
It did say merge,
okay.
and then I think it also said
them having 14 people.
Yeah, I think it said merge. But I mean, it was definitely like I think it said merge and come on out, and then they were all like, "What?" I think I agree with you. I think if we had gone down to 11, we could have had two people come back, which I actually, when
I did too. I really thought they were going to that makes sense. They'll go down to 11. They can have a 12-person merge, especially because we're pretty sure they're bringing in someone again after the merge, which gives them space.
Right. But no, they decided not to do that. Also, here's the other question, because we don't know how the Edge of Extinction is going to work. Do the people that lose this challenge, do they go home, or do you think they stick around? Because I could honestly see them sticking around.
Yeah, I think they might. Which,
I think we would get. I think we would get at least one immediate quit. Well, I think we would get at least one immediate quit if it's lose and you can choose to stick around until like some unspecified future date. I think Keith especially would just be like, I'm done.
Yeah, because I could see them doing it because then they can really push people to the edge, but it's also like, God, are we really going to have 18 people the entire season? How are they going to do the jury? I'm like very concerned about how they're going to do the jury with this.
Right, exactly. Whereas
we'll find out.
Right. So, now if they send them home forever, then it's just a normal jury. It's just a normal jury who has not been seeing what's happening. Though maybe they will bring them in to see what's happening, because even on the Edge of Extinction, everyone will know they're still out there. Like once the merge happens and you vote someone out, you have to think in the back of your mind, this person has a chance to come back.
Yeah, for sure. So. Which could also protect Joe if he loses. The first thing they'll be like, well, he'll come back anyway. Isn't it better?
Although, and I think what it'll actually do is I think it'll protect the people who they think have the best chance of beating Joe. Like, I think this is actually like really good for like Eric or like Gavin or someone, because, if you're, I don't know, Victoria, you're think, well, I can go to final and I can like out talk those guys, but I don't know if I can beat Joe in a challenge, but maybe they could. And so maybe you stay closer to them because you need someone to beat Joe if he comes back.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense.
So, okay. I think that's everything. So, where can they find us?
They can find the website at purplerockpodcast.com. They can find the podcast anywhere else you can find podcasts.
Yeah.
They can find the show's Twitter at Purple Rock Pod. And
that's usually John.
Yeah, it's usually John.
Though I did
And
fill
then
in 1 week earlier this season, and John just pretended it was him with all of my great tweets.
you did a great job.
I did
And
do a
then, you
great
know,
job.
the content you really want is
Mhm.
my Twitter at Purple Rock Emma.
And my Twitter at Purple Rock Matt. So thanks for tuning in, and I guess we'll see you next week. So, oh wait, who is going next week? I actually forgot to write this
I
down.
have no idea. I think it's
I think it's me and John.
I think it's
me and John. So I should definitely know that. So yeah, tune in next week, and you get me again. Only this time I'm not hosting. That'll be John. So yeah, hit the theme music.